I want to take you straight to the Milano ice skating arena.
Okay.
It's Thursday night, February 19th, and the atmosphere inside that rink isn't just loud, it's heavy.
Yeah, heavy is the right word.
There is this specific kind of tension that you really only feel at the Olympics, especially when a powerhouse nation has been losing for way too long.
Right, it's the weight of expectation. You have to remember, for the United States women's figure skating team, this wasn't just another competition.
Not at all.
They were staring down a 20-year drought. The last time an American woman actually stood on top of that Olympic podium was 2006.
Which is just a staggering amount of time in sports.
It really is.
I mean, think about it. An entire generation of skaters has come and gone without ever seeing that gold. So when we were looking at the data coming out of Milano for today's deep dive, we aren't just looking at a skating competition.
No, we're looking at a psychological pressure cooker.
Exactly. And we've got a lot of material to work with today, with the scoring sheets, the transcripts of the post-skate interviews, live reporting from the mix zone. And the narrative here is just wild.
It's incredible.
It's about broken curses, it's about redemption, and honestly, it's about a fundamental shift in the sport itself.
And it's also about the sheer technical difficulty required to break a curse like that. We saw this massive battle between the Blade Angels, Team USA, and a historically dominant Japanese squad, but the headline, the one thing you absolutely cannot ignore if you were watching, is Elisa Liu.
So let's start right there, because the headline screaming from the Athletic USA Today, basically everyone, is Elisa Liu. She didn't just win.
No, she dominated.
She virtually locked up the gold medal with 3 skaters still left to go.
Mathematically, yeah, she put the competition out of reach before it was even officially over.
Which is insane.
It is, but we really need to slow down and look at how she did it, because the score she posted, a 150.20 in the free skate, is a monster number.
150.
Yeah.
Can you contextualize that for us? Like, is that just good, or is that historic?
It's firmly in season-best territory, but more importantly, it's about the composition of that score.
Okay, break that down.
So in figure skating, you have the technical element score, the TES, and the program component score, the PCS. A lot of skaters can rack up technical points by just jumping beans.
Just spamming the jump shot.
Exactly. Right. But to get to 150, you need the judges to give you massive grades of execution, the GOE.
Right.
It means you aren't just landing the jumps, you're landing them with flow, with huge height, perfect edges.
And she was doing all of this under the most extreme pressure imaginable. I mean, she skated third to last. She knew exactly the math she needed.
She did. And combined with her short program, her total score was 226.79.
Wow.
That is such a commanding lead. It basically told the remaining Japanese skaters, you have to be absolutely perfect to even come close to this.
What I love about this, though, is that Elisa Liu is not what you picture when you think Olympic ice princess.
No, definitely not.
We're so used to the pastel dresses, the classical music, the very demure attitude. Elisa's just, she's not that.
No, she's really her own person.
She's been called the alt girl of figure skating. She's got the lip piercing, the halo hair, this very distinct, edgy vibe.
Which, historically speaking, is a massive risk.
Why is that?
Figure skating judges are notoriously conservative. They have a very long history of rewarding a specific traditional aesthetic. For a long time, if you didn't look like a ballerina popping out of a jewelry box, your component scores would suffer.
So her winning like this, is that a signal that the judges are finally evolving?
I think it forces them to evolve.
Interesting.
Yeah, when the technical mastery is that undeniable, when you're speeding a program that reporters are calling superb and epic, the aesthetic preference has to take a backseat.
Right, you can't argue with the math?
Exactly. She didn't win because of the alt persona. She won despite the traditional bias against it. She totally forced the door open.
And that personality really came through the second the music stopped.
Oh.
We have to talk about the reaction, because usually you get the polite wave, maybe a tearful smile, the skater clutching a stuffed animal in the kiss and cry.
Right, the media training immediately kicks in.
Not for Elisa Liu. She comes off the ice, the adrenaline is clearly just spiking, and there's an NBC camera right in her face. And she screams, and I'm going to censor this for you listening, but she yells, "That's what the F we were talking about."
It was so raw.
And she didn't even stop there. She's hugging her coaches, she's shaking with energy, and she sums up the greatest performance of her life by saying, holy S-word.
Johnny Weir was actually on commentary for that.
Oh, right, I heard about that.
Yeah, he sort of laughingly chided her on air, saying, "Language, Alyssa." But if you really analyze that reaction, it's not just about being edgy.
No.
No, it's physiological.
How so?
Think about the cortisol levels. Think about the adrenaline. She has been carrying the weight of a 20-year national losing streak on her shoulders. That scream wasn't a performance for the camera.
It was the release valve.
Exactly. It was an exorcism of 2 decades of frustration for U.S. skating.
It really felt like she was shouting for every American skater who had missed the podium since 2006.
Precisely. It was the exact moment she realized she hadn't just skated well, she had done the impossible.
So Elisa Liu brings the fire and breaks the drought. But looking through our sources, there's another story from Thursday night that I think is actually more compelling, just purely from a human resilience standpoint.
Amber Glenn.
Yes, Amber Glenn.
I completely agree. Elisa Liu is the headline, but Amber Glenn is the heart of this event. To understand her free skate, though, we really have to go back to the disaster of the short program.
It was a disaster. She came into the free skate sitting in 13th place.
Yeah.
For a reigning U.S. champion, that is, well, it's a nightmare.
Catastrophic. And the reason she was all the way down in 13th was because she popped her loop jump.
Okay, we hear that term a lot in the reporting, popped a jump. But what does that actually mean physically? Did she just slip on the ice?
No, it's a lot more complex than a slip. It's a fundamental timing failure. Okay. When a skater goes for a triple loop, they are relying on centrifugal force to snap their body into a super tight rotation instantly. If you open up, meaning you hesitate or your arms aren't tight enough, even for just a fraction of a second, the physics of the jump completely fall apart.
Wow.
Yeah, you lose all the rotational velocity.
So triple just becomes a single.
Exactly. She planned a triple loop and did a single. And in the current scoring system, that is devastating.
Because of the base value.
Right. It's not just a low score, it's an invalid element. You basically get a 0 for a mandatory part of your program. It's an unrecoverable math error.
And she actually talked about the mental toll of that error in her interviews. She said she wasn't devastated about losing a medal chance. She was devastated because she lost the happiness and enjoyment. She felt like she hadn't fought.
That is a terrifying headspace to be in.
I can't even imagine.
Seriously, imagine standing backstage, knowing you are in 13th place, knowing you cannot win a medal, but you still have to go out and perform a 4-minute routine on global television.
Most athletes would just phone it in at that point.
They absolutely would.
But Amber Glenn didn't phone it in. And this is where the age factor starts to get really interesting. Because Amber Glenn is 26 years old.
Which in the warped reality of figure skating makes her basically a senior citizen.
Right. She was actually the oldest U.S. woman to compete in nearly a century.
Yes, she was.
So she goes out there, 26 years old, sitting in 13th, and she decides to throw a triple axel.
Which is the hardest jump currently being done by women consistently. And let me tell you, at 26, your body does not rotate the same way it does at 15.
Obviously not.
The fact that she opened with a massive triple axel earning over 10 points right out of the gate was a statement. It was her saying, I am still here.
And she followed that up with a clean triple flip and a triple toe loop combination. She was just on fire.
She was, until the irony kicked in.
Yeah, the Ghost of the Shore program returned.
She went for the triple loop.
The exact same jump that put her in 13th place to begin with.
And she stumbled.
She put a hand down on the ice.
Yep.
That moment could have broken her right.
Oh, it easily could have. A younger, less experienced skater might have let the entire program unravel right there. You know that feeling of, oh, here we go again, I can't do the loop.
Yeah, a total mental spiral.
But because she has that maturity, she recovered instantly. She did not let that one mistake define the skate.
And the crowd knew it too. The live reports described a sea of American flags and just thunderous applause. She finished the routine, and she wasn't crying in defeat. She was punching the air.
Fist bumping at center ice.
Exactly.
Despite the hand down, she scored a season-best 147.52, total score 214.91. She climbed the standings significantly.
But honestly, the score almost felt secondary.
It did. She gave a quote afterward that really stuck with me.
What was it?
She said, that 6-year-old girl that never thought I'd ever be here, I was working toward being able to have that moment.
That is such a powerful sentiment. It's really about fulfilling a promise to your younger self. But we should also acknowledge that Amber Glenn's resilience wasn't just about recovering from a pop jump. There was a lot of external noise she was dealing with.
Right. And we need to be careful to just stick to the reporting here, but the context is really vital for understanding her mental state.
Right, we're just reporting what the sources say.
Exactly. So Glenn is one of the few out bisexual athletes in the sport, and she has also been a vocal critic of U.S. President Donald Trump.
And in the current political climate, that kind of visibility attracts a lot of heat.
It does. Multiple sources indicate she faced significant online backlash regarding both her politics and her identity leading up to the Games.
Which is a heavy burden to carry into an Olympics.
Very heavy. And when you combine that with the fact that she has openly discussed battling depression, the pressure wasn't just about landing a jump.
It puts that near-perfect routine into a completely different perspective for you as a listener. It's not just athletic endurance. It's incredible mental fortitude.
Exactly. To shut out that level of noise, to overcome a humiliating short program, and to perform at an elite level, that requires a level of focus that is, frankly, hard for us to even comprehend.
So true. So we have Elisa Liu breaking the drought and Amber Glenn redefining redemption.
Yeah.
But I want to zoom out a bit.
Okay.
You mentioned Amber's age earlier, 26. Elisa's 20. When we look at the podium and the top competitors in Milano, something looks very different from previous Olympics.
Yes. This is the big aha moment of the 2026 Games. We are seeing the direct result of the ISU rule change.
Remind everyone what changed.
So a few years ago, the International Skating Union raised the minimum age for senior competition from 15 to 17.
And this was a massive controversy at the time.
Huge controversy, because
Yeah.
for years, the sport was dominated by 15-year-old jumping beans, as we called them earlier.
Right.
There was a very specific model, largely popularized by the Ikari Tepurids camp in Russia.
And they coached Adelia Petrosian-Wright.
Yes, the neutral athlete who finished just off the podium here in 5th place.
Got it.
So the model was basically take a prepubescent girl, use her low body weight and narrow hips to rotate incredibly fast, win gold at 15, and then essentially retire her by 17 when puberty changes her center of gravity.
It was a factory of disposable champions.
It really was, but now you have to be 17 to even play. And look at the result. The Japanese powerhouse Kaori Sakamoto is 25.
Wow.
She's a 3-time world champion. She's skated a program called Time to Say Goodbye, scoring a 150.13.
So she's 25, Glenn is 26, Lou is 20. Even the young disruptor from Japan, Ami Nakai, is 17.
Right, Nakai is the firecracker of the group. She stormed from 18th to 1st after the short program, but even she is legally an adult or very close to it under these rules. We aren't watching children anymore. We are watching women.
Do you think this changes the actual skating?
Yeah.
Like, does a 25-year-old skate fundamentally differently than a 15-year-old?
Yes, absolutely. A 15-year-old relies on pure rotation speed and a certain kind of fearlessness. A 25-year-old relies on power, deep edges, and actual emotional interpretation.
They have life experience.
Exactly. You can't fake the emotional depth of Time to Say Goodbye when you're a child. The podium we saw in Milano suggests we're entering a new era of longevity. It feels sustainable.
It feels like a much healthier sport.
It absolutely does.
Okay, before we wrap up this deep dive, we have to acknowledge that the ice wasn't just hot for the figure skaters.
Oh, definitely not.
Thursday was a golden day for Team USA all across Milano.
It really was. If you stepped out of the figure skating arena and went over to the hockey rink, the drama was just as high.
USA versus Canada, women's hockey. I mean, it is arguably the best rivalry in winter sports.
No argument there. And this game followed the script perfectly.
Tied late in the third period.
Yeah, it goes to overtime.
Talk about grit.
And Megan Keller is the name you need to remember. She scored the game winner to make it 2-1.
Wow.
Beating Canada in overtime for gold. That is
Yeah.
the absolute pinnacle of hockey.
And we had action on the speed skating track, too.
Jordan Stoltz. The man is just a machine. He took silver in the 1500 meter.
I saw some headlines saying he, quote-unquote, lost gold, which just seems a bit harsh to me.
It's incredibly hard. She was beaten by a world record from China's Zhang Yanning.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, if you have to skate a literal world record pace to beat Stoltz, that just shows how incredibly good Stoltz is. And that was his 3rd medal of these games, by the way.
And just quickly, Eileen Gu.
Still doing her thing in free skiing. She had a fall in the half-pipe qualifier, so there is that resilience theme popping up again, but she recovered and qualified for the final. She's representing China, and she remains a massive threat.
So if we pull all these threads together for you listening, Elisa Liu screaming her lungs out, Amber Glenn punching the air after a fall, the Lucky team winning in overtime. What is the through line here?
I think the word is resilience, but not just the grit your teeth and try hard kind of resilience. It's about adaptation.
How do you mean?
Well, Elisa Liu adapted to the pressure of a 20-year history. Amber Glenn adapted to a rule system that usually punishes her age and body type. The sport itself is adapting with the age rule change. We are seeing what happens when you finally let athletes grow up.
That's a really fascinating takeaway.
Yeah.
We used to watch this sport to see physics-defying jumps from kids. Now we're watching adults bring a lifetime of experience to the ice.
And I think the result is a richer, far more compelling product. When you see a 26-year-old land a triple axel, you know exactly how much grueling work went into maintaining that body to do that. It just means more.
It really does. Which brings up an interesting thought to leave you with. With the age limit raised to 17, we finally saw a podium of adults rather than child champions. Does this mark the beginning of a truly healthier, more sustainable era for figure skating? It's definitely something to think about.
It's a new era of ice and fire for sure.
It certainly seems that way. Well, that wraps up our deep dive into the 2026 Winter Games for today. Thanks for unpacking all the madness with us.
Always a pleasure.
We'll catch you on the next Deep Dive.